to the cloud.
Great.
Hopefully you guys see that. I'm going to launch a quick poll. I want to welcome everybody to the MEM Town Hall. I'm going to try to hold these every quarter. In the fall, we had our orientation, so I didn't think there was a big need to hold one then. We have staff on board. We have obviously Mandy and Miriam and Jenny, so welcome to you guys. If you don't know these folks, you should know them, get to know them by now, because they're probably going to be your biggest resource. As a way of checking in, I'm going to launch a quick poll for you guys to have just a pulse check, see how you guys are doing. No, the quarter is only 2 weeks old. It's a little early to judge, not even a full 2 weeks. We'll be talking about a whole bunch of things today. Let's see where folks are. Not too many greats. The greats are catching up. Okay, all right. Let's see here. All right. 17% refuse to participate. That's probably the staff. So why don't I end the poll?
I just participated. I said great,
Oh,
no
okay.
issues.
Okay. Let's, I'm going to call it a done poll. I'm going to share the results.
Aw.
Hopefully you guys can see here, vast majority of you, great, no issues. A little bit more than a handful worried about jobs. Only one overwhelmed, one COVID worry, and one classes worry. So I guess we're doing okay, Mandy. I'm not sure how to interpret it. Well, I guess it would only make sense if I do this longitudinally, right? So I should do this every quarter and see what the trend looks like, right? Okay, so with that, let's go get into the agenda for today. This shouldn't be a long meeting. Hopefully this is short. We're going to do a quick return to campus update. If you're not aware, things are changing effective on Tuesday, the 18th. That's right, Tuesday, the 18th. So in literally, like, what is it, 4 days from now, right? Mark Johnson is with us, but before we get to him, we'll have some internship updates that I'll quickly go through. There is a process to follow. You need to follow the process, please, to keep mostly to keep yourself out of trouble, right? Mark Johnson will get into some project updates he's been working on. CSPO training. I think Asgar is with us, so he'll be sharing what's going on with CSPO training and SAB. We are working on the networking event, which is supposed to happen traditionally in winter. Now, since nothing's nailed down, winter is becoming harder and harder, but if we do, it'll be very, very much towards the end of winter quarter, probably late February, possibly sometime in late March. We're working on speaker, venue, and whether or not we can even have food, because the way it stands right now, this minute, if we held the event tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to have any food in the event, which makes, we used to call it a networking dinner. I'm now calling it a networking event because we don't know about this dinner thing. I'll talk about spring classes and fall classes. And then if there's anything else, we can open up to Q&A at that point. So let's go straight to return to campus, because this is probably the hottest topic. And I'll share this slide with Mandy, because I know she was going to probably send this out by email if she hasn't already. January 18th, we are back in the classroom. That's been decided. Now, I suppose something could change between now and then, but I doubt it. In general, the numbers are looking decent for Northwestern. We've had a great history of dealing with the virus to date. There's still, Jacobs for testing. You still need to upload your vaccination records, including your booster. Please do that. There's several sites. I think we can send out the links after the session if we need to. If you don't have your NU symptom tracker app, please get it. Please download it and please use it. It'll tell you if you're not feeling well, whether you have a green light or a red light. Red light means isolate and get yourself tested, right? In essence, go for testing when you're instructed. Testing on campus is the rapid test, but it's witnessed, and that's what's different. You can do a rapid test at home. Northwestern wants to witness those rapid tests. So the Binax test is available on campus. It's still available at Jacobs. You can go there. I think it's 9 to 5 during working hours. And you'll definitely need to go there when you're instructed to do so. And from there, you can get released back to the classroom if there's a red indicator on your app. Masks, go ahead, Mandy.
I was just going to say too, just since we're talking about testing, I did relook at and just so that everybody knows, the last announcement that I made, I think it was last week on Canvas, that is still accurate. And in that announcement, as far as testing goes, and it's on the Wildcat Wildcat Wellness webpage. It says it again, like you're supposed to test 36 hours before you come in for your first class or before you arrive on campus and log that test result using the link. I've sent many of you that link. You can find it on the website. Then you need to test when you get to campus. So ideally, it would be like Mark is saying, go to the Jacob Center or whatnot. We realize it's a lot, but I really want to stress that this is what the university is asking. And I did ask, what happens? I asked our dean, Mark, just so you know, I was like, well, what happens, if the students can't do this or, don't want to, you will likely get holds on your account, right? Like there will be holds on your account. This can prohibit you from dropping or adding a class right now. It could prohibit you from getting registered for spring classes when we start to do that. So just really keep that in mind that like there are repercussions. So if you feel like you might not be in compliance, you should email me and we can reach out to the COVID support team and just make sure that they understand that you're trying your best to be compliant. Okay. Done. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, in terms of masks, they're finding that the cloth masks really don't work. If you're going to use a mask, you can use a surgical mask. I think these are the ones being handed out, or you can do surgical and cloth. If people like the feeling of cloth on their face, you can put this over the cloth. The better option, it's an option, it's not required, but the preference is if you can get your hands on it, a KN95 mask tends to fit better and tends to be more effective with the Omicron variant. This is also a change. I should bold this, but no food or drink allowed in the class. We're not going to be catering food. We're going to be asking you not to consume food in the class or drink. The main reason is you're required to take off your mask when you consume anything. So we want to keep your masks on at all times. That's the key message. And of course, the last key message is if you don't feel well, please don't come to class. Get yourself tested, get yourself isolated. And depending on your symptoms, the symptom tracker will tell you how to proceed after that. Did I miss anything, Mandy? Or
I think just the last thing would be, did you mention that the booster needs to be done by the end of this month? I don't know if you
didn't get into that specific, but yeah. So in other words, that first bullet, you need to it's not just getting the booster, you have to update the record for the booster.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll send out the links for that. I'm sure you already have most of that stuff. And look, this is not obviously normal. We're in the middle of a pandemic here. We're trying to keep everybody safe. And frankly, I think Illinois has done well. Evanston's done well. Northwestern has done well. So we'd like to keep it that way. The last thing we want is an outbreak. And the very last thing is we want an outbreak because of MEM.
Agreed. I think
that would be really bad, right?
And the last thing I'm just going to say, when we circulate these slides, I'm happy to do that, Mark, this afternoon. I really do, like, a lot of you have reached out to me with questions, which is awesome, but I'm going to put in my email to you all, or maybe the Canvas announcement, the actual email you should be reaching out to and copying me on with any questions about any code stuff. So just so you guys know, there's better answers out there than me. So
Mandy, one quick question.
yeah.
Basically, there is a requirement of 6-month time gap between second dose and the booster dose. And I'm getting some questions about this, that people whose 6 month has not been completed, they won't be able to get the booster by end of this month. What is the, how are they gonna submit their booster shot? How are they gonna submit their booster shot?
Yeah. So there is a waiver. There's a booster waiver form that you can fill out. It is on the website. I can share that link as well. But I still sort of recommend emailing the COVID support team. And again, I'll supply that email, mostly because we want to keep a record. And this is why I'm like, copy me on it. We just want to keep a record of like anything, just so you guys are in compliance, so that like in case the university comes back and they're like, well, Asgar is not in compliance, like he never did this thing. I have this like email that's like, no, well, we asked you about it. Like we were ahead of it and we were, but there is actually a booster waiver form that you will fill out. So I'll provide the link for that as well. But I still think it's always good to email that support team and let them know why you're not going to take it and all that, so that they have it in their records too. So
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Like, in fact, like you were at the app there, like I did mail a vaccine at northwestern.edu for the like exemption because as Aprajita said, like I have not completed like 6 months, like between my last dose and the booster dose that is to be taken. So I have sent the mail to like the email ID which was mentioned on website, but I have not filled that form because I couldn't find the link there. Like the link which I tried to click, it said like you upload, there is option only for uploading the vaccination status or booster status, but there is no exemption status there. So I did mail it, and like as you said, like I did not keep you in the loop, so I will just forward that email to you
Okay.
as well.
okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
I think she just meant that as an example, not that she was saying you need to get your records updated. It's just, hey, if Asgar or anyone else.
No, that's exactly that point. Like,
Right. You're my
although
example.
although that example was right actually. So I did mail a vaccine at Northwestern, but I did not keep Mandy in the loop. So better to keep.
Yeah, I think in the future we'll just say person X, because this applies to everybody. But yeah, in general too, if you've had your Johnson & Johnson shot, which is what I had, I don't think the 6-month rule applies. So you go with best medical advice in terms of what that interval should be, right? And some of you had other vaccines from other sources, so you need to go with best medical advice or whatever Northwestern tells you to follow. In terms of internships, I know many of you are pursuing jobs off campus outside of Northwestern. Some of you already have them, I know, because I've started to process what's known as CPT forms, right? So curricular practical training. This is all coordinated through the international office. To my delight, they've automated most of it. So I will get an email at some point after you've submitted the form and you've gotten the process started. When I get the email, I'm going to review that you have good grades, that your grades are not in jeopardy, you're not in any kind of probationary status or even something close to probation. I want to see that you have a reasonable course load, you haven't overloaded yourself. But lastly, I'm going to make sure the internship aligns with MEM. So if the internship is basket weaving or something other than engineering management, you can expect me to get a hold of you and to ask you some questions. Otherwise, I generally approve these things, and from there, you will get authorized to pursue your CPT opportunity. Just be aware that SSN processing is taking 10 weeks or more, which could delay any kind of payments to you in terms of your payroll, whether that's on campus or off. Roberto.
I just have a question about the 10 weeks for the SSN. Let's say we do get an offer from an internship. The moment we get the offer, is that the time we go to the international office and ask them to start filing for the CPT, or when do we do that? And then the follow-up question is, if we, like, let's say we get accepted to an internship mid-May, so classes are not done yet, and mid-May we get accepted, and that's less than 10 weeks before the internship would start in June. Would this impede us from starting the internship given the fact that we don't have the SSN? Those are just my two questions. Thank you.
So yeah, you don't necessarily have to have the SSN to start the internship, is my understanding. But I would get a hold of the international office as soon as you want to pursue an internship, and they can tell you what the right sequence is and what forms to fill out. But let's say that they want you to start June 1st. That's pretty typical, actually. June 1st is a logical start date. Well, as you know, as we all know, Northwestern tends to have classes well into the second week of June, very often. So what you need to do is work out with your spring professors that you may need to be remote for the first 2 weeks of June, or you may have to take an accommodation somehow, because obviously they don't want to impede your internship. They know how important internships are. So, and faculty will be advised of that prior to spring, just as I'm going to advise them to basically make sure they're tested before they come into the classroom for the rest of this winter. So they'll be doing that as well. Georgie, you had a question?
Yes, Mark. For 9-month program attendees, internship is something that suits us as well, or not really?
Well, if you're graduating in June, effectively, you're going to go straight to OPT, is my understanding. Because what'll happen is the State Department and the International Office is going to see that your status has changed. Now, an alum or you've graduated from the program and CPT no longer applies. CPT is typically just for internships and summer jobs that for students that are still enrolled in the program and have other classes to fulfill before they graduate. So the other option for you is if you think CPT is easier for you, maybe you come back in the fall and take one last class and make sure you don't graduate before then, right? The typical thing, frankly, is you take your 11th class in the spring and you take your 12th class in the fall.
I think I can't do it because I have to be full-time student, if I'm not wrong. I have to have 2 classes, at least, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, it's not my plan, so no worries.
I think they'll waive that. Check with the IO, but they will waive that if the 12th class is all you need. They're not going to force you to take 3 classes. That would be like forcing you to take the 13th and 14th class in the fall. They won't force you to do that, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, I talked to them. I actually talked to the international office about this. And you can, let's say you finish 10 of your classes by the spring, you can only take 2 or you can only take 1, and that's fine. But only if it's your last quarter, this applies. Like only if it's your last quarter, that's fine. You can't do this prior to that, only your last quarter.
Right.
Got it. Thanks.
For example, let's say you took your 9th class in the winter, right? And then you take 2 classes in the spring and 1 class in the fall. That's going to be a problem, right? Because now you've switched in the spring to part-time status, right? So you have to maintain full-time status until the last quarter. And in the last quarter, you take whatever you need to finish, whether it's 1 class, 2 classes, 3 or 4, right?
Thanks.
Okay. With that, let me, if there's no other questions about internships, and frankly, we are pretty liberal. I mean, engineering management does span a broad spectrum, right? And a lot of you might be pursuing engineering jobs, and that's fine. They don't have to be product management or project management. They could be engineering jobs. And frankly, there's an advantage to that, right? A lot of students get frustrated because product management, for example, typically requires experience in the field of product management. The way to get around that is you take a job with that company as an engineer, and then you work your way into product management over a period of time, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. If you've got the skills, you've got the training, you've got the certification in some cases, CSPO, they're going to be very happy at some point to transition you into product management. And if not, you can always, switch companies and go somewhere else. Vamsi, you had your hand up.
Yeah, Professor. I mean, this CPT from, if you get an internship, let's just say this month or next month, does it need to be confined to 20 hours at max?
If it's during the school year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's in the summer, you're not taking classes in the summer. And I think there's a CPT accommodation for summer internships. But if you're taking, let's say, an internship during the school year, let's say the month of April, the month of March, right? Or even February, you're going to have to limit it to 20 hours. And I would want to make that stipulation very clear in all your paperwork and in anything I approve, right?
Okay.
I'd also caution you to be careful not to overload yourself. So if you're taking 4 rigorous classes, you might want to push one of them out or 2 of them out to some future quarter, right? And we'll talk about the schedule in a few moments, because I think you'll find that we've got a lot of options for you in terms of classes coming up. George, your hand's still up. I think that's just from last time. Okay, Mark Johnson, are you with us? I don't see him.
I am.
How are you, sir? You've dialed in. We got your slide up.
Oh, great. Yeah, and Mark, you can present, but I'm grateful to everybody that participated in the first, last quarter last year. And as you know, I'm heads down trying to get new projects from new companies for all of you. So pray for me. Pray. Because I am tin cupping, I am begging, and I am selling new projects for everybody. And I just haven't closed anything yet. I apologize.
Well, there's a couple things working against you. The virus is one of them. And I
Right,
think this time of year, people tend to check out and then check back in a staggered fashion. So
Right.
I'm having a hard time getting guest speakers for classes, even getting guest speakers for the networking dinner. So I think the problem is just pretty much universal.
Right. Well, stay tuned. And every week we have a catch up. It's elective. And if you want to jump on and get any other advice or coaching or recommendations or referrals, just join us or just email or call me anytime.
And I guess this slide kind of shows the history of where we've come from in terms of the Illinois Solar team and the Texas Wind team, their deliverables and the people on the team, and the time frame. Most of it was October through December. So you've had some great, great successes. You've got some stuff in the pipeline for publishing, and you had some, happy customers on the other side, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then also the projects that I'm working on for the future, some of them extend this work, but some of them are totally new. So again, I apologize for not having anything quote unquote sold yet, but I'm very optimistic. I do think we'll get the same amount of projects this quarter rather.
Well, Mark, we're very appreciative of all the work you've done so far. So thank you for everything you've done. And I'm sure on behalf of the students, they appreciate it. Nuvention Energy is in full stride at this point, so we're getting a lot of guest speakers there. I'll try to make some of those guest talks available on Tuesday nights, and also recorded, but also live. So in case you want to dial in and see some of these people, we'll be streaming those as well. So let's shift over to Asgar, who's going to give us a quick update on CSPO. I know there's been a lot of developments lately.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Mark. So good afternoon, everyone. So as you are all aware, Mandy and Jenny has sent you the updates regarding the registration for CSPO. And first and foremost, this registration is only for those who were not registered earlier. And those who had already registered, I had sent a preference form selection, so that you can choose one of the two batches. That is, one is weekday batch and the weekend batch. So accordingly, Professor Lowell is assigning the batches for everyone. So, and those who have not registered, please do register and take the full benefit of this particular program. And as you are all aware, the market rates for this program is already close to $600-$650, whereas Professor Lowell has been generous enough to discount it to $200 for the OPE students, and SAB is providing further subsidy for MEM students, and so it's effectively $150 for the MEM students. So this is regarding the CSPO training. And other events, it was discussed with Mark and Mandy, we did plan some networking events which we had to cancel because of the COVID things. But yeah, we do have plans of having alumni interaction and some interaction with the industries. So I have been in touch with some of the people, maybe one person from Google who is in supply chain. So he might be willing to join, but he's not from Northwestern. But yeah, he is working in Google, so there will be some interaction if required. And one of our alumni, Fiza Jafar, she has agreed to participate in this alumni interaction. She is working as product manager at American Express, if I'm not wrong. And we have some others from Apple and Unstanding as well. If I will discuss with you, Professor Mark, regarding this, and we can work out a schedule for this. So this is on the alumni interaction or industry interaction front, which SAB is planning to do. And yeah, as far as some events social events, we will keep everyone updated. We are planning based on how the situation evolves. So these are the few things which SAB is considering in the 1 or 2 months horizon, which is the. So yeah, Roberto has some question.
Mark, before that, is Fiza still the member of advisory board? Fiza Jafar, I think she's the member of advisory board.
That is Sabah Jaffrey, I guess, Aprajita.
Oh, sorry, I confused.
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
Liz graduated a couple of years ago, so
Okay.
I think it would be
Yeah.
too much to ask to have her still on the board.
yeah. Roberto has a question. Like,
Ali, me, I was just wondering, for the CSPO training, are we gonna get a link the day that training is, or? Because
I guess Mandy has already sent it, and you have received a mail regarding the same. Like, you can just go to the link and select whichever like
No, I
batch
mean
you
a
want.
link like for the Zoom, like for the Zoom.
Yeah. Professor Lowell will be sending it like for the registered students. He has the list updated, so he will be sending it. And once the training is worth like once the training gets over, like he will be certifying, like, and there is a logistic requirement from Scrum Alliance that like in a given batch only 30 members can be certified. So that's the reason like there are 2 batches done, and also to accommodate like some of the part-timer students and those who are working on internship, so they can take the weekend batches, and those who are like not having any conflict on the weekdays, so please take weekday batches. This is the plan. So but we do have some slots open in both the batches, so if someone has not registered, they can accordingly register.
We're anticipating the weekday batch to be pretty crowded. And the weekend batch, we may open up to OPE wide if there's enough capacity.
Actually, that's what even we anticipated, Professor Mark. But like after the survey, we found that like it's almost full, equally like occupied in both the batches. So we have like equal number of like slots available in both like the batches. So I guess like associate director of MSIT said like OP has, I mean like MSIT has some classes in the Saturday afternoon, so it might be a non-starter. So now that we have some slots open in the weekday batches as well, so those students can join if they are interested. I guess Mandy might have like sent it to other programs as well. So I did keep them in the loop, but I guess formally like Mandy would be sending it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? I know there's also a communications workshop. I assume that'll be your next project to schedule.
Yeah. I guess like we thought like that to be happening somewhere like in February, second week or third week, or maybe in the early March. So we will decide on a date for that.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, no other questions for Asgar. Let's move on. Networking dinner. This is typically held in February, usually the first or second week. Thanks to the virus, we've had a real hard time scheduling this. There's probably 3 things that need to align. One is the guest speaker. We're looking at Professor Hani Mamasani. Now, why him? Frankly, he's a fantastic speaker, but he's also the director of the Transportation Center. With all the issues we've had with logistics, we believe that there's going to be huge opportunities in logistics. And he's a worldwide expert in logistics, and so is that center. If you don't know about that center, I encourage you to check it out. I encourage you to subscribe to their newsletters and to their various seminars and workshops. He's agreed in principle to give our talk, but we haven't really nailed down a date yet. We're looking at maybe dates on a Thursday night, like February 24th or March 3rd. There's a venue you can see in the lower right. This photograph is a venue of the Siegel Visitor Center. It is voluminous. It's a very modern place. It's got limited capacity. It can handle about 100 people, maybe 110 or so. We've got, alumni as well as students and faculty. So we're thinking of that might be about the right size for us. It's right on the lake, so you'll have a beautiful view of the lake. Also a nice view of Chicago, the Chicago skyline. So what's nice about that venue is it's got an auditorium, so we can have the talk. And if food is allowed, we can also maybe have some hors d'oeuvres or actual sit-down meals. So we're still trying to figure out the food situation. We're trying to figure out the COVID restrictions. In addition to Professor Hani, we're also looking at bringing in a corporate sponsor and also co-guest speaker from Uber Freight. So one of our alum, Val Marshevsky, is eager to work with us to bring in a COO or CEO level guest speaker for us. If you don't know Uber Freight is locating its headquarters in Chicago at the post office, which is the heart of downtown. It's right off of Congress. If you don't know the facility, it's one of the world's largest post offices. It had recently been shuttered. Uber Freight is taking it over, and they're looking to build their team pretty much from the ground up. So there's a lot of openings over there. comments about these two? Is this a horrible idea? Is this a decent idea? I mean, what do you guys think?
Great idea, in my opinion. Thank you.
You
Mark.
like it?
This is good, Professor Mark. Yeah, thank you for organizing it.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, in the essay advisory board meeting, you also mentioned Lisa Dhar. I think she was also supposed to be a guest speaker. Will she be coming?
Who? I'm sorry.
Lisa
Lisa?
Dhar. Yes.
Lisa Dar.
Yes.
We could bring her in. She would have a different focus though. She's more into technology. See that then we'd have to probably bring in a guest speaker from the technology development. And so in a sense, we decided against kind of focus on technology and a little bit more focus on logistics.
Okay.
I don't think it would make sense to bring in both, but we can talk about it. I mean, if you think there's an opportunity to bring in both. Lisa deals with all the technology on campus. She's also into licensing. This whole idea of technology to market, T2M, she's a champion of that. And she works with all of the researchers on campus to patent and license the technologies coming out of the labs. So if we bring her in, we would bring in probably one or two examples of laboratory technology. If you think there's a way to like logically blend both, I'm open to it.
Okay, we can think about it actually.
Yeah, let's think about that. In terms of classes, I'm sure you guys know what classes are scheduled for next quarter. What you probably don't know is what nights, and these are still tentative. And I guess Mandy will correct me if I made a mistake here. Accounting looks like it's going to be on Wednesday nights.
Yeah,
Fine.
the only one, I'll just make it easy. The only one that I think is movable is possibly 424 might be on Saturday mornings.
Okay,
Everything else is set in stone.
got it. Okay. Newvention Transportation is controlled by Farley Center, and they wanted Thursday afternoons from 1 to 4. So I know that doesn't work for part-time students. I apologize, but I don't control Farley Center. Product management is Friday mornings, and that was at the request of the instructor. And venture capital, which is brand new, is also on Friday mornings at the request of the instructor. So marketing analytics, Monday nights, strategy, also Monday nights. And I know there's a potential conflict here, but frankly, there is a 437 being offered in the fall. So if you're worried about a conflict with, 437, I would love to have, students just shift their attention to the fall offering. Yash, you had a question?
Yes, Professor. So one was just this about marketing analytics and strategy being coinciding on Monday nights. So just to confirm, strategy will be taken in fall 22 as well, correct?
Correct. You can see the fall classes.
Yep.
This has not been published yet. This list
Okay.
is not published, but this is my current plan for the fall, right? So
Okay.
anyone who missed 402, I doubt there's anyone here who missed 402 or who missed 404 or 405 or 407. All of those are going to be repeated. Of course, we're going to have a whole new batch of students coming in. They're going to occupy, 99% of those seats. 415, that's Professor Nelson's class, computer simulation. This is discrete event simulation using Simio. This is a powerful tool. If you haven't taken it, this is possibly your last chance to take it before you graduate. I know 420 was canceled this last spring. So your last chance to take that would be the fall. Negotiations, again, your last chance, 437, and again, 490 product management, well, along with Newvention Medical. Vishal, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so there was supposed to be operational excellence that was going to be offered in the fall, right?
We have to look at that. I mean, if there's enough demand.
Yes, Professor. I think operational excellence would be a good.
Like,
Right.
because most of us were looking forward at the course of operational excellence.
Okay, if there's enough demand, we'll put it on the calendar. We have capacity, and we have the right instructor. We just have to schedule it out.
So do you need us to do a survey of how many students are interested for the course, so you get a final number of some kind?
Well, let me just do a survey right here. I mean, how many of those were dialed in? We got 28 dialed in participants. How many would like to see operations excellence in the fall? Okay, I'm seeing a pretty good number here. Let's see, I'm seeing about 7 or 8, so that's critical mass. This is probably only representing about half the students anyways in the program. So I think that's probably enough to justify putting it on the calendar. We do run the risk though, if people don't sign up, if we don't get critical mass in the fall, it could be canceled. So I do just want to caution you on that. And with that, let me stop sharing and just ask if there's any other questions. I see hands up, but I think those are from the vote.
Professor, I had a follow-up question actually with
Okay.
respect to the marketing and marketing analytics classes, like we discussed yesterday, just for everybody's clarification. Could you just talk about that as well, as to one not being the substitute for the other?
So marketing 405 is a core class, right? Marketing analytics, even though it's the same professor, is a different topic altogether. We treat marketing analytics as a elective. So you're free to take those electives, but I mean, that does not substitute for 405. So.
Also, Professor, could you just show the slide for the spring classes one more time, please?
Sure.
Also, will Mark, you want to circulate the slides, right?
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, so we will.
The
Sure.
spring classes are here. So if you want to figure out what your calendar looks like, this is what your calendar will look like depending on what classes you sign up for. Does that help?
Yes, Professor. Thank you so much.
Does anyone
Professor-
see any massive issues with this at all?
Professor, can you share for the fall 2022 as well again?
There you go.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Professor, like negotiations will be handled by you, right?
Yeah, I'll be teaching negotiations. There's actually a chance I'll be teaching 420 as well. For those who don't know, we lost Mark Karasek as our professor. And we have a candidate, but we also have me as a backup. So depending on whether the new faculty or I teach it, that's a decision we'll make in the next probably 6 weeks or so.
But negotiations is by you.
Negotiations is by me, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Professor Gail Berger coming back in anything other than orientation. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but she's pretty much dedicated now to Kellogg. Stephen and then Ashmita. Stephen?
Yep, thanks, Mark. Are there any potential course offerings for the summer quarter? I know that few of us can take advantage of that, but
We were planning on technical entrepreneurship for 419. That's what was on the books. That's what I think we published. I fear we may not have that much interest, but I'm willing to put it up there and see who signs up. So.
okay, great. Thanks.
Ashmita and then Raghu.
Hello, Professor. I just wanted to ask, I was going through the concentration list on the website. Under the product management concentration, all the new venture courses are listed, but the new venture analytics is not listed. Initially, we had discussed that, instead, like take either of the one, like either technical entrepreneurship or any of the new venture. So I just wanted to confirm, like, is it by mistake?
Analytics would be included, and the analytics was just omitted from the list. So yeah, if you take Nuvention Analytics, that would count towards product management concentration. So.
Okay, thank you.
Raghu and then
Hi,
Krupal.
Mark. So would Kevin Murnane be taking the leadership program in spring, or would it be someone else?
It's still Kevin. I mean, he's booked, he's scheduled for it.
All right.
Yeah, how's that class working out? Are you guys happy with him?
Yeah, just one class over. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, it is good.
He's good?
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
I was told that students just didn't want to leave the room.
He was there for 20 minutes after class. It's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the lights turn off at 10 o'clock. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you found out the hard way. Imagine Krebs going pitch black without any notice at all. Boom, the lights go out, right? You look at your watch and sure enough, it's 10 o'clock at night. So that's the way it's been. Krupal.
Professor, I have a question regarding the co-op thing. So we can start the co-op in summer. Co-op means it like will be the 40 hours per week and will be the something more than 5 or 6 months. So can we start the co-op in summer? Like, and with considering some courses load will be also be there, like 3 or 4 as per your guidance. So can it be possible, or it's not like allowed or eligibility? As per the ISSO department, they said it, they just want the full-time status to be maintained.
Okay, so I guess I want to understand your question. If you start working full-time in the summer,
Yeah.
I think what you're asking is, can you stay full-time in the fall?
If you want to do the co-op, will be the 40 hours per week, more than 5 months. Can I do it from the summer? Also, can I take the 3 or 4 courses if I want to? Obviously, it's depend upon like I can manage or not. But is it allowed? Like, as from your end, will it be? Do you give your permission, or like?
Well, if you're working 20 hours a week, right? At 20
No.
hours a week, you can certainly handle 3 classes,
Yeah.
right? You can probably handle 4. We'd have to talk about it. But if you're working full-time, there's no way you'd be able to handle that load, right?
But for the 3 courses and the 40 hours per week, still it's not advisable, or like it's not allowed.
The 3 core courses?
Like, yeah, 3 core courses, or 2 core courses and 1 electives, or 2 courses and
working
40 hours per week.
full-time? And working full-time, 40 hours?
Yeah, I'm just asking, like, if it is a co-op thing, because co-op thing will be going to be full-time 40 hours per week, and it will be more than 4-5 months. So
Yeah, just recognize the word co-op. I mean, you keep using the word co-op. That's an undergrad term. And it's specifically where you take time off of class to work in a full-time setting. So they literally check out of their academics and they do full-time work. And then they come back from that full-time work to finish their academics and their degree. So I think that's not what you're talking about. I think you're talking about an internship and trying to do the internship in parallel with your classes,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And as long as you're working full-time, I can't imagine you handling more than 1 or 2 classes, academically.
Okay, so will the 2 courses and can I do the full-time work 40 hours per week? Is it like allowed, or like will it be the
2
permission?
classes and full-time work?
Yeah.
I would, if you have a good grade point average, I probably would approve it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't go more than 2.
Okay.
Okay, Asgar.
Yes, Professor. Like I guess this is something similar question to like whatever Krupal asked, but this is more pointed. So if let us say a scenario where if I get an internship in summer, and that the company is ready to like give me like 40 hours internship in summer as well as in the coming fall, and if I have only 1 course to complete, can I do 40 hours in the fall? Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you'll have to check with the IO. But if the international office is okay, I'm okay, right?
Okay.
Krupal, are you coming back in?
Just I want to say, like, the ISS department just said they just want to maintain the, as a you want to be as a full-time student, like to be enrolled in 1 or 2 classes. That's all. They don't have any kind of constraint with that. They said just ask your academic advisor, or
Right. So here's the better question, right? So let's say you take a job in Seattle over the summer and you enjoy the Pacific Northwest, they enjoy you, they want you to stay for the fall, but you have 1 more class. Now what do? Well, if it's an elective, you can take an independent study, do that completely remotely. You can take an online class if we have any at that point. You can take something online. You can also transfer something in from an online program that, for example, SPS has online courses you could take. So there are some options if you have 1 last class and you're not in Chicago, right?
Would that include even core courses?
Core courses become very difficult. So if you're waiting for like leadership, let's say, trying to take leadership remotely with Don McNeely, I don't think that's going to work. Don McNeely and 424 do not do the online, he's not going to be completely online unless the virus forces them to be.
Yeah, 424 is Kevin, I guess, right, Professor?
I'm sorry, 437. I was thinking 437. Yeah.
Professor, can we able to waive one course as you said it, like can I do the one independent study and then one course can I be able to show as an independent study at the last quarter if my internship or the job is just currently going on? Is that possible? So
Yep. Absolutely.
so is that should be aligned with that particular job role or like, yeah, what is the
Well, I mean,
criteria for that?
ideally, if you're going to do an independent study and you're working, it would be great if you could merge the two. So let's say you're working in a logistics firm, maybe doing a logistics project as an independent study, right? That would make some sense.
Got it.
Yeah. So that way you can bring benefit to your employer and show your, capabilities here to the program all at the same time. Okay, I don't see any other questions or comments. It's about 2:50, so I promised we'd be done early. Mandy, did I miss anything, or Miriam or Jenny?
I think you covered it.
Okay, now all this stuff is going to be published. You'll see it all online, and if there are changes because of COVID, we'll certainly keep you posted. It is dynamic, and we have to be flexible. We appreciate your flexibility, but we also appreciate just your adherence to our policies because we're trying to keep everybody safe. That's really the bottom line. So with that, hang in there. You'll be pizza deprived for a little while. You'll have to fund and find your own pizzas, but I think maybe you got tired of pizzas, what I heard. So no?
It's great. It's great.
Never too tired to have another
Never
slice.
too tired
Don't
for
believe
pizza.
it.
These are people who live next to Domino's, right? Okay, guys, have a good rest of the week.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mark.
Professor.
Bye.
Thanks a lot,
Bye.
Professor.
Everybody, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
Thanks, Professor.
Sure, no problem.